Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this session, Europe in the Fair Ecological Transition. I would like to inform people attending this session that the microphones will be turned off during the session. This session is being recorded and broadcasted live on the university's Facebook channel. And any question can be addressed via the chat so that we can put it to the speaker in the end. Also to tell you that this is the 5th of 12 initiatives that Universidade Católica Portuguesa has been developing during this Laudato Si Year in partnership with Caritas Portuguesa, to whom we thank for all the support and initiative throughout these months. And now I will pass the floor to our Vice Rector, Professor José Manuel Pereira de Almeida.
Bon dia à todos. Bonjour, mon père. Merci de votre présence. Je crois que João Pereira, le secrétaire général de Caritas Portugal, va vous faire une belle présentation. Mais surtout, nous sommes ici pour vous écouter et pour pouvoir vous poser quelques questions sur ce thème, le sujet d'aujourd'hui. Merci.
Merci à vous.
So good morning, Your Excellency. Good morning, everybody. Monsignor Antoine Hérouard is Auxiliary Bishop of Lille. He is also apostolic delegate to the Sanctuary of Lourdes. But I would say the main reason why we invited him is because he's the president of the Social Affairs Commission of the Bishops' Conference. Of the COMECE's Bishops' Conference. COMECE is, as they say on their website, the Catholic Church in the European Union, which means that it's a structure, a European structure of the bishops of the European Union to dialogue different themes such as migration, intercultural dialogue, social and economic policies, external action, religious freedom, or social issues. And His Excellency is the president of specifically this commission. And I hope I presented COMECE well, and you also, Your Excellency. So without ado, please.
Thank you very much. And I'm very pleased to join you this morning to have this time together to reflect about Europe in the fair ecological transition. First, I would like to thank the Catholic University in Portugal and Caritas Portugal for organizing this cycle of conferences as part of the Laudato Si Year. Before I go on with this, today's topic, I would like to highlight a continuity between Pope Francis' encyclical letter, Laudato Si, in 2015, and its newest social encyclical letter, Fratelli Tutti. You may know that it was recently signed in Assisi on at the beginning of this month. In both encyclicals, Pope Francis repeats the words from a pastoral letter of the Portuguese Bishop Conference. Maybe you noticed that. This letter says that the earth is lent to each generation to be handed on the generation that follows. So this idea of lent and the transmission from generation to generation. And Pope Francis insists in Laudato Si that an integral ecology is marked by this broader vision. It's number 159, if you want to find the text. In both encyclicals, we have been following a cycle of conferences as part of the Laudato Si Year, and you must know that we can no longer speak of sustainable development apart from intergenerational solidarity. Is also in Laudato Si 159. And behind these words lays an idea of obligation of justice. Because of our common destiny, intergenerational solidarity is not an option, but rather a basic question of justice, since the world we receive also belongs to those who will follow us. It's always in this number 159 of Laudato Si. You may wonder, why is this important for today's discussion? That's because we have to keep in mind that integral ecology must go together with the full development of humanity. This is a key idea. The integral ecology has to go together with the full development of humanity. We also mark two main ideas. The first one is the idea of the earth as alone, as I said before. And the second one is the idea of common destiny and call for solidarity. Both ideas are surrounded by the notion of justice. And based on these ideas and in the context of the COVID-19 crisis, COMECE Social Affairs Commission has been writing a statement. Maybe you can find it on the site of the COMECE, and maybe you read it already. Let Europe recover through justice. And this statement has been written on the 28th of May of this year. It was just a day after the European Commission has proposed a major recovery plan for Europe to help recover from the crisis. And the statement provides the contribution of the Catholic Church. This statement welcomes the proposed European Union Recovery Fund to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. It also says that justice for the most vulnerable and the environment must prevail. The statement promotes ecological, social, and contributive justice. With this COMECE position paper as background, I will present to you today some initiatives that happened in the European Union since the beginning of the crisis to promote fair ecological and social transitions in the recovery, and how this can support the move towards integral ecology in our society, meaning a conversion that benefits people, families, communities, and the whole planet. So the first point will be, how is the European Union promoting ecological justice? The COVID-19 pandemic constitutes an unprecedented crisis for the whole world. It has caused tremendous human tragedy and impacted both our society and our economy. We have seen borders closing, many people becoming unemployed or being put in a short-time work scheme arrangement. Companies are struggling. For many people, this is a terrible time. In the European Union and its member states, the focus is now on fighting the pandemic and its immediate consequences. The COVID-19 crisis highlighted that we are all dependent from each other. We can have a disastrous impact on our fragile ecosystem. In June, on the Environment Day, Pope Francis said, "We cannot pretend to be healthy in a world that is sick." We cannot pretend to be healthy in a world that is sick. While rebuilding our economy and recover from the ongoing crisis, it is important not to forget about the persisting climate and ecological crisis and bring ecological justice forward in the recovery process. I would like to stress a few facts about climate and ecological crisis, even if many are known. There is only one planet Earth, yet by 2050, the world will be consuming as if there were three, unless we take immediate action. The global consumption of materials such as biomass, fossil fuels, metals and minerals is expected to double in the next 40 years. Our global annual waste generation is projected to increase by 70% by 2050. Only 9% of all plastic waste ever produced have been recycled, only 9%. About 12% has been incinerated, while the rest, so the big majority, 79%, has accumulated in landfills or the natural environment. A lesson learned with the COVID-19 crisis is that early action is essential. Therefore, the European Union should continue to step up policy action against climate change and biodiversity loss at European Union, national and international levels. So there will be no recovery without a budget, and that's why the question of budget is very important. In order to recover from the pandemic in July, European leaders agreed for the first time in history on a 750 billion extraordinary recovery fund called Next Generation EU, and on a next EU long-term budget of over 1 trillion for the years going from 2021 and to 2027. You know that the European budget is decided for 6 years each time. Of all this total budget, 30% is earmarked for climate goals, 30% for climate goals. As a next step, the adoption of the long-term EU budget 2021-2027 is scheduled for December 2020, next December. The objective is to start the implementation of the latter as of January 2021. 2021 will be for Europe an important year, as many initiatives will be funded through the European Union budget. But it will be also an important year as it marks, and you will be aware of that, the beginning of the Portuguese presidency of the Council of the European Union that will run from January to June 2021. This presidency is part of a trio with Germany that is finishing its term at the end of December, and Slovenia that will come after Portugal for the second part of the year 2021. Their common motto for the three presidencies is "Together for Europe's recovery." So the accent will definitely be on the recovery towards a fair and sustainable Europe. As part of the European Union long-term budget, the European Union will provide financial support and technical assistance to help those that are most affected by the move towards the green economy. This is called the Just Transition Mechanism, Just Transition Mechanism. And it will help mobilize at least 150 billion over the period 2021-2027 in the most affected regions. It will address some of the social and economic effects of the transition. For instance, it will protect most vulnerable people and citizens by facilitating employment opportunities in new sectors, offering reskilling opportunities, improving energy-efficient housing, investing to fight energy poverty, facilitating access to clean, affordable, and secure energy. It will also protect companies and sectors, for instance, in investing in the creation of new firms and startups. Finally, it will protect member states and regions, for example, investing in public and sustainable transport, investing in renewable energy sources, and so on. Currently, there are several trialogue negotiations that are taking place between the European Commission, the European Parliament, and the European Council, the three European institutions, to agree on the amount of budget to spend on each program. Part of this discussion is a discussion on the creation of own resources to reimburse part of the funds borrowed by the European Union for the recovery plan. The plastic tax is ongoing, this is project, and there is a debate pushed by some members of the European Parliament on a carbon tax at the border from the outside of the Union, a tax for digital giants and a tax on financial transactions. The Parliament would like a well-established calendar to implement these taxes and waits for a Council proposal. So we'll see what will be decided. What is the European Union doing to promote ecological transitions? The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, expressed in her political guidelines of 2019 a will to become the world's first climate neutral continent by 2050. This is the aim, the goal. The European Green Deal is the European Commission's roadmap to achieve this ecological transition while leaving no one behind. 4 environmental action initiatives under the European Green Deal. European Union institutions are committed to put the European Green Deal as a compass towards a green recovery. I will present to you now 4 of the first climate and environmental initiatives under the European Green Deal that were initiated since the COVID-19 pandemic started. The first one is the 2030 Climate Target Plan. The 2030 Climate Target Plan was presented on the 17th of September of this year by the European Commission and sets ambitious targets for Europe to further reduce net greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. If you wish to contribute to the European climate policy priorities, the Commission regularly consults a wide range of stakeholders, including European Union citizens. In March 2020, Commission launched a public consultation to invite all citizens and stakeholders to submit their views on this climate ambitious increase with the goal of 2030 and the actions of policy that are necessary to reduce greenhouse gas emission. There were over 4,000 contributions that contributed to the development of the climate target plan. And so we can express our own ideas and advices on this matter. The second initiative is the European Climate Law. On the 4th of March 2020, the European Commission put forward a proposal for a new European climate law. This new law aims to transform the political objective of become climate neutral by 2050 into a binding obligation. And on the 7th of October this month, the European Parliament adopted its position on the climate law. So it's going on. While the European Commission proposed a reduction of at least 55% of greenhouse gas emission by 2030 compared to 1990, the European Parliament raised the bar even further, calling for a reduction of 60% of emissions by 2030. Until then, the European Union emission reduction targets for 2030 was 40% compared to 1990. So we try to go further on. Now the Council has to agree upon a position so that the European Parliament and the Council can start negotiating and find a compromise who will become a European law. Third point, what is called the European Climate Pact. In November, the European Commission will launch the European Climate Pact. What is it? It is an opportunity to bring together regions, local communities, civil society, business, and schools. It will help to promote grassroots initiatives that work well. The idea is to bring about a change for individuals, but also for large multinationals, and to launch many new actions for the climate. To prepare for that, the European Commission has been organizing a 12 weeks public online consultation on how to get all Europeans involved in the fight against climate change. The consultation ended in June 2020. The COMECE youth platform, inside the COMECE we have a group for the youth movements and the presence of youth in the European project. A group of this COMECE youth platform, which is a group of Catholic youth organization coordinated by COMECE, is very active on this topic, and that has been meeting with member of the cabinet of Commissioner Timmermans to discuss on ways to contribute. When the pact will be launched, there will be initiatives around it that could take place under the form of a platform check, the Commission's website for updates if you wish to participate. So it's also an opportunity to participate in this European action. Fourth point, the new circular economy action plan. The proposal for a new circular economy action plan was adopted by the European Commission in March, on the 11th of March 2020. And it presents new initiatives. The aim is to ensure less waste and make sure that the resources used are kept in the European Union economy for as long as possible. The action plan will have an impact on electronic equipment, plastic, batteries and vehicles, packaging, textiles, construction and buildings, and food. I give you two examples of that. For the electrical and electronic equipment, generate a lot of waste in the European Union. With the new Circular Economy Action Plan, products placed on the EU market will be designed to last longer, to be easier to repair and upgrade, recycle and reuse. The other example I will give you is the one of plastic. Consumption of plastics is expected to double in the coming 20 years. With the new Circular Economy Action Plan, single-use products will be phased out wherever possible and replaced by durable products for multiple use. This was my first great part, how the European Union promoting ecological justice. The second one will be, how does the European Union try to promote more social justice? What is the European Union doing to promote social justice and fight the COVID-19 pandemic? So we have different levels. The first one is a short-term answer, saving people and jobs. Pope Francis reminds us in Laudato Si to John Paul II words and the need to protect employment. Any approach to an integral ecology, which by definition does not exclude human beings, needs to take account of the value of labor. This is a quotation from the encyclical Laborem Exercens of John Paul II in 1981. The European Union's short-term reaction to the crisis was to save people, or to try to save people and to save jobs. First, the European Commission made the use of social funding more flexible. It allowed 10 member states to make their medical systems more resilient. Many member states also directed this funding to care homes, to the training of medical staff, of social workers. The European Commission also put together the SURE instrument to finance national short-time work schemes, which 40 million European workers benefited from during the lockdown. It supported 16 member states. The Commission was also actively promoting health and safety during the return to work. But because the virus is back and economic and social consequences will persist for a long time, the European Union has also been initiating long-term solutions, long-term EU answers. The EU has at its disposal the European Pillar of Social Rights, it is so-called the European Pillar, and its 20 principles to achieve equal opportunities, fair working conditions, and good social protection. It is also the common guide for the jobs and social recovery and remains the European Union compass to ensure just green and digital transitions. The action plan to be presented in 2021, next year, will operationalize the Pillar's 20 principles. The European Commission is consulting everyone, and especially the civil society, to achieve this action plan. And COMECE Social Affairs Commission is contributing to the reflection on the EU action plan to implement the European Pillar of Social Rights. So it's on the way. It's not really decided for the moment. Support to social economy. According to Eurostat, the Organization of Statistics in Europe, minimum wages range from 312 euros to 2,142 euros per month in the European Union member states in July 2020. Fair minimum wages are key to protecting vulnerable workers, preventing in-work poverty, and reducing wage inequality. The situation of workers with low wages has worsened in the EU in the last years. though there cannot be a one-size-fits-all approach, setting a uniform European minimum wage, or because the situations of the different countries are too different, or imposing one specific model, an EU initiative on minimum wages would contribute to tackling in-work poverty and improving workers' living conditions. Future reforms should accompany the EU agenda for fairness and equality. The EU is fighting for adequate minimum wages, but also for children's equal access to opportunities and for decent housing conditions. Another point will be the youth employment and skills. There are two key policies in particular that can help us recover. One of them is skills. Global warming did not stop during the confinement, and the need for green and digital skills is urgent. The EU skills agenda will help current workers reskill and upskill, and it will help young people develop the skills companies need. As part of the European skills agenda, the European Commission's Pact for Skills will be launched in November this year. On the website of the Pact of the European Commission, suggests to collect stories on stakeholders developing green strategies, fostering green skills, climate change awareness, and green management of their organizations. Another policy is youth employment. According to a study from the International Labour Organization, ILO, 1 in 5 young people aged from 15 to 24 has stopped working since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. 1 in 5, so it's enormous. While those who remain employed have seen their working hours cut by 23%. Many young people entering the workforce at this time will find it harder to secure their first job and to find it. The ambition is that member states invest at least 22 billion euro in providing job, education, or training opportunities to young people. They have no prospect at the moment, and yet they are our own future. They have to be able to seize quality jobs. To move in this direction, in July 2020, the European Commission adopted a proposal for reinforcing the youth guarantee to ensure that all people until 29 will receive a good quality offer of employment, continue education, apprenticeship or traineeship within a period of 4 months of becoming unemployment or leaving formal education. In addition to maintaining an inclusive approach that supports vulnerable groups, the reinforced youth guarantee will accelerate the much needed ecological and digital transitions. So I arrive to the conclusion point, which I will develop. First, I would say, as we wrote in our COMECE Social Affairs Commission statement in May, now it's a time to act, and not only to have projects, but to act. A virus that causes a lung disease made us realize that we cannot live healthy on a thick and polluted planet. At the same time, the pandemic has shown us that it's not too late to act. This should encourage us to go beyond our current ambitions on the care of our common home. We should acknowledge that the COVID-19 pandemic is linked to a larger social ecological crisis that has become increasingly visible to us through climate change, biodiversity loss, and its devastating consequences on the most vulnerable. We cannot just rebuild our old models and re-establish our embedded habits, but should seize this moment as an opportunity to work for radical change and reinforce our efforts towards integral development and innovative thinking toward the future. We therefore welcome the Commission's proposal to integrate the European Green Deal as an underpinning strategy into the recovery plan and call upon EU member states to their pledge towards climate neutrality and the care for the environment into tangible action that will spur ecological conversion in Europe. This pandemic should be proof for us that urgent action is needed. The choices we make and the lifestyles we live have a profound impact on our planet. If it is time to act, it is also time for solidarity and fraternity surrounded by justice. So we have to act together and not to forget people on the way. These crises have also reminded us that answers needs to be found in a concerted manner through a common European response. It's a very important point. We cannot deal each country our own response. The EU's capacity to act depends largely on our ability to work together in solidarity to fight COVID-19, biodiversity loss, and climate change while caring for others. In the context of the COVID-19 outbreak and its dramatic effects on people and all EU member states, Pope Francis called on numerous occasions for fraternal unity in Europe. For example, what he says during the Mass at Santa Marta on the 22nd of April of this year, at this moment in which unity is very necessary between ourselves and between nations, we pray today for Europe, so that Europe might succeed in creating this fraternal unity dreamt of by the founding father of the European Union. As highlighted in our COMECE statement, the EU has the opportunity to take an important step forward in expressing its solidarity. However, it is essential to put the question of justice at the center of the European Union recovery to leave no one behind. The Social Affairs Commission of COMECE also calls for discussions to be guided by the principles of common good, with the aim to find agreements that helps Europe to recover through ecological and social justice. This is a very important point to see that ecological and social justice have to go together and cannot be separated. Thinking of those who will come after us will perhaps not serve electoral purposes, yet it is what authentic justice demands. This is Pope Francis in the last encyclical letter, Fratelli Tutti. I will finish with the words of Pope Francis during the World Environment Day in June 2020, while talking to the President of the Republic of Colombia. He urged for the building of an increasingly habitable world and a more human society where all of us have a place and no one is ever left behind. This is the goal we have to achieve. This is the direction we have to take, and that's why at our level in COMECE, we are trying to work. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for an excellent conference in these two ways of ecological and just. That's exactly what we wanted. So I would like to know if any of the participants has any questions. You can either put it on the chat or can also maybe raise hands in the reaction button below. And as people think, I would I dare to send a question myself.
No, of course.
Well, as a Caritas person, you mentioned something very interesting called the green skills. So developing skills so people would adapt. I would say that in this two way of social and green, in Caritas, the social skills are, I would say, very well developed. But as for the parish communities, what would be the green skills you would recommend? And also, as we are in the context of a university, for a university too. And I would ask people to raise their hands or write on the chat for more questions.
Okay, thank you for your question, which is quite a good one. As you say, we have more skills on social part of the question, and maybe less in the green skill. We have to work in the different universities, for example, to have people form to this kind of knowledge, and to know exactly what are the points on which we have to work concretely. Because we see that this change of the green transformation of the economy is something which is the responsibility of everyone. Not only the government, not only the great societies, not only the consumers, everyone has to do his own part on this matter. And in the few examples I've given in the conference, for example, about the plastic, we see it's very concrete and very precise. And so we have to have good, skilled people who are able to not only analyze, but give some guidelines, concrete guidelines to act in this matter. And so I think it's a necessity today for education, and especially in the universities, to have people not only who have this idea of the green change we have to promote, but who have the technical knowledge to know how to deal with it. That's the point, I think. So it's quite an important guideline, I think, for university.
Let's say a green champion.
Yes.
Maybe I can go for the next one.
Yes.
Your Excellency, you were mentioning this unemployment situation that youth generation are facing. What can universities, and our university in specific, can do more to reduce this gap for these students that are facing to enter the job market?
It's not so easy to answer your question. We see day after day that the question of youth employment is a very tough question today because of the COVID pandemic. And I think for the university, we have also to have students well skilled, and that's what we said before. That's the first point. And the second one will be to help them to find the different fields in which we have needs today, because we cannot say that there is no work for young people. Some fields are looking also for young people, and even if the situation makes that it's often works who are not so long-term or not so secure than in normal times, we have also to encourage the companies to employ young people in those fields where they need help. I think it's a common preoccupation for all those who are engaged in economic and social life to try to help the young people to enter the job market, because otherwise we will have a whole generation who will have a lot of difficulty. And as we've seen, we have Pope Francis insist often on the question of the transmission from generation to generation. And I think for young people, we have to have special programs to help them to find jobs, or even as trainees. This can be. I see also in France that we have young people who have been who have finished their studies and who have decided to do a complementary study for 1 year or maybe 2 years in another field, or to go a little further in what they have studied, hoping that the situation will be better in 1 year time or 2 years time. This can be also something useful for young people who don't find a job. But we have also to help them to do so.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I don't know if there are any other questions. I've just activated the possibility for everybody to raise the questions by themselves. Maybe not.
Oh.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for these reflections. What is European Union doing, and how can we as European citizens do more and be engaged more, as Pope Francis also invites us to do it every day on our jobs, our families, our parish.
Anybody is concerned.
Yes. And I would like to thank you for your participation, and also to tell everybody the next session on this Laudato Si Year will be held on November the 24th on social responsibility in and within organizations. And it will be organized by Universidade Católica in Viseu's campus. And it will also be the day that we will announce the winners of the photography contest that we've organized on the care of the common home. So we will be announcing the winners of this contest. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your Excellency. And
thank you.
have a nice week.
Same for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.